Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome to GitOps Working Group new fortnightly meeting on September 15th. I will paste in the link to the meeting and agenda notes. Sorry, the meeting's agenda and notes document. Here it is. A few folks added some things. Maybe just take a moment to, oh, thanks, Robert. A few folks added some things. Maybe just take a moment to see if you want to, if you have any agenda items, just pop them in there. If there's anything super high priority that's not on this list, let us know. We can bump it up in the list, but otherwise just add it to the bottom. Christian, you want to go ahead and take it away since you have the first item?
That mute button keeps moving. Yeah, so just a couple things I have. So first item is GitOpsCon is in 4 weeks. Wow. It's finally happening. It's finally here. So for those of you watching, thank you for the CFP submittal. Thank you for taking a part of the second ever GitOpsCon and the first in person. So it'll be in LA. A lot of us will be there. And if you're joining virtually, you'll still see us there. So CNCF is doing a good job of running a hybrid event. So so it's in 4 weeks. I guess I don't think we're waiting on anything. I think the last time we were waiting on some confirmations, but I think Dan has pretty much squared those away or is in the process of squaring those away. So I guess I'll pause there. Any feedback, any questions about GitOpsCon in general? I'll pause here for questions or any other comments about that.
My only question is, do we want, since we changed the meeting schedule today, do we still need a dedicated GitOpsCon meeting?
I have no updates. I can probably I think whatever it is, we can probably do it asynchronously. I don't have anything pressing. I think Aubrey may have something, but I can speak with her offline.
We've done a lot of coordination over Slack, so I think we'll be okay this week, and we can check in next week.
Okay, cool. And hopefully we have time during this meeting too for, yeah, okay.
And then I know we've announced this before, but I just think it's to re-announce it. The GitOps.dev, open GitOps.dev is now live, so our website is now live. And I actually posted a blog, right? So I had the honors of having the very first blog, just talking about GitOpsCon, right? So just to relate one to the others. But so this is just basically people have been reaching out to me directly, talking about like how to contribute, right? Like, hey, like I want to like best practices or blogs or whatever. It's like and I always say, PRs are welcome. So the best way, I guess, now for those who are here and those who are watching to contribute is you basically write a PR to the blog section of the website repo. So pretty easy. It's if you guys know Hugo and Gatsby, it's pretty straightforward. So it's all in Markdown. So we should all feel comfortable. So if I can do it, anyone can do it, sort of thing. So I encourage you, right? If you have ideas or anything like that, PRs, go ahead, put a PR in, and we'll start the review process. And that's it for me.
Thanks for doing that, Christian, by the way. That blog post was great.
Cool. Actually, let's save the next. I'm going to reorder the agenda item because I'm the one that added it, so I feel like I can do that without really. It's 1 second here. Oh my god. Okay. Just going to add the principles update to the last because that can sometimes spiral, but we won't let it. But just in case, let's just to help with focus. So speaking of GitOpsCon, I just wanted to ask, like on behalf of Dan and me, we had talked about, opening up to feedback from other folks in the GitOps working group about things that, you might feel are super important to note in the beginning intro that Dan and I are doing for the state of GitOps. We didn't end up having, the program committee didn't end up deciding to put a panel with all of the working group members to just kind of like chit chat about things, because we had so many really incredible proposals. We didn't want to, it was hard enough to like stomach not having them all in there. We couldn't do that. So given that the only real space that we have to intro things about the working group and the Open GitOps project, or any either announcements or just calls to action or whatever you think should be added, you don't necessarily have to say it right now. You can if you know it, but just please, reach out to us on Slack and we'll work those into the initial 10-minute intro. Right, Dan?
Yep.
I mean, if it's good,
Oh, it has to be good. Oh, okay.
Gotta be good. I mean, jokes, if you've got good jokes that won't make us look awful, let us know. Okay, and then
I wanted to get into GitOps, but I have commit issues. Ha
oh my God.
I don't.
Don't give spoilers. Don't give too many spoilers.
Sorry.
Although there'll probably only be like 3 people that watch this recording. But, all right. That's a good one. Okay, so the next 2 agenda items I added on here. But again, speak up if you've got them. One
Did
is
you hear about the pull request, the crazy pull request? It was committed. All right, I'm done. Go ahead, move on.
I like it. Okay, yeah. So there's plans sort of spread throughout a few different issues between the working group repo and the Open GitOps repos to move files from the GitOps working group GitHub repo to the appropriate ones to the Open GitOps repo. Some of that's already been done, like the maintainers file has been moved over. Other things have been moved over. Things that are appropriate to the project but not the working group. The working group still guides the project, but anyway, we just need to resolve some of that stuff. So for example, we've got some other files that not everyone's really looked at for a while, like some of the older discussions, which I think we can leave, there's also project boards, which still have items that are in play. Those might be worth moving over. I moved over a couple of issues that were no longer relevant to the working group that are specifically relevant to the project. Anyway, and then the other files that we had discussed, at least in one of the recorded chairs meetings, was that doesn't really leave a whole lot of extra files for this repo itself. Now that we have the Open GitOps repo to work in, and the project is actually, it's got legs, and we're actually making it happen. So we happen to have a directory inside of the apps delivery tag GitHub repo, because the working group is under that tag, which still is it's just got one file that's super out of date. So the idea was, making a pull request to add the Open GitOps maintainers as, maybe the working group chairs or whatever, maybe also the maintainers. Either way, to the code owners file, just like the operator working group has already in that tag, so that we can then move relevant files to that and then archive the GitOps working group repo and just point to that directory inside of the tag. That was an idea. If anyone has any objections, let us know, but it sounded pretty standard and good. That was it for that one.
Yeah, I'd like to actually spend maybe just a little bit more time on it. Maybe not today, because we're not in a big rush with it, but I've just been thinking about the value of a working group from a clarity standpoint of the mission. And if we have to move it all over, or if it's a symbiotic relationship or something. So, but I don't know that I want to spend any time on it today because there's other stuff, but maybe just for future discussion, we can bookmark that.
Okay. Cool. Are you gonna, okay, thanks, Dan. I was gonna take a note from what you said, but thanks for doing that too.
My job today.
Yeah. So then the last thing is, the last thing on the list so far anyway, is the update on the principles. And this can be relatively short, I think. Probably the easiest way is for me to share my screen. So we have this all sorted out pretty well. So as a quick progress bar update, there is ultimately, let's see if we go to the, excuse me. Oh goodness. If we go to the Open GitOps documents, excuse me, milestones. I'll be quick about this. I'm just fumbling a little. Yeah, there we go. So if we go here, we have, wonder why. In any case, sorry, let me just say that. So this is first. Not sure why that. Okay, so anyhow, we have as everyone here knows that we've moved the principals committee, like really made a lot of progress over the last 6 months, and many good edits were suggested in, like, you know, a non-full release, you know, a pre-release. We also had many points that were raised that were never really able to be folded in because just because of the way that the I guess the principles really need to be pretty specific. And so we agreed with the committee, or the committee all agreed to move from a weekly principals committee meeting because there was a certain diminishing returns over the course of that time. I think we kind of covered all of the bases that were really important, or that's what it seems to everyone. There's still room to adjust, but it doesn't justify having its own weekly meeting. So that's why we've also folded that into this bi-weekly, this fortnightly meeting. And in any case, to move that into an RC feedback process. So, okay, without talking about it more, you've already heard this, but I'm just pointing out this milestone for the first RC1, or the first release candidate of the documents which contain the principles and the glossary. We had some goals, and the plan, and here's the plan, that it would be drafted by the chairs, incorporating all the discussion and feedback so far. The draft will then be reviewed by maintainers before tagging RC1. So we've passed the RC1 to the principals. Sorry, we've passed the RC1 to maintainers for just quick feedback, you know, very quick feedback in case there was something super off in someone's opinion. But ultimately the goal now is to make, the next step is to make a pull request. And I think we even have that listed somewhere. Yeah, to present, basically to present the pull request as an RC1 PR, and then we can call a vote, like a a binding and a non-binding vote if needed. But ultimately we'll just follow our governance process for trying to reach consensus. So anyway, it should be doing all of these things. We tried to simplify the titles. The other goal was to clarify the language to emphasize the main point of each, incorporate all the community feedback, like I mentioned, that at least has broad consensus, to resolve the notes and the glossary items, which we can do in the PR. We already have another open PR for that. We can put them together if need be. And then to ensure the consistency of language and to ensure the accessibility of language. So those last several are ones that we really need feedback on. Because, you know, none of us single-handedly can ensure accessibility we need everyone's support for that. So that is it. Just a quick note on the milestone is that the date that we have set for the milestone is this Friday. That's a target goal. If there's something that blocks us from doing that for an RC1, we can certainly push that forward. But that is our target day right now. So everyone keep your ears peeled and keep your eyes open on Slack. And we'll and of course we'll send the link to the GitHub PR once that's made. In fact, we can even do that today so that there's adequate time for folks to to make time in their busy schedules to look at this and provide feedback. I think that's it for this one. I hope I didn't talk too long about that. I felt we needed to cover our bases. Okay, good.
So were you gonna show the email? I mean, I guess everybody's received the email.
Oh, actually, yes. Actually, yes, I can.
I actually didn't get the email.
You didn't.
So we talked about it, so I was like,
oh. Well, I think this is fair to show because there's nothing. It was to the Open GitOps maintainers, but I'm the one that sent it, so I think there's no responses, so I'm free to show it. In fact, I think the only reason to send it to the maintainers yesterday was just in case there was any quick feedback before the meeting. But as it turns out, there was only a few pieces of feedback over Slack. So yeah. So let me go ahead and grab that real quick. Okay, so there is one piece of feedback from Jesse, which I since it's on the maintainers list, I won't show. So let me just link directly to my message only. And Jesse could not make it today. So that feedback, we had discussed that the feedback that he added could be, it wasn't any kind of a showstopper from a maintainer's point of view. It was just something that could be discussed in the PR itself. It wouldn't be like a giant directional roadblock. So here is the message. Okay, this might look a little bit long, but that's just because there's a PS that really helps explain the narrative of what's going on. So this will actually be added to the pull request just for context, or some version of this, unless Dan or someone disagrees with this and thinks that I wrote it down incorrectly. So basically, we are asking the co-chairs for help, and as that milestone step, we'll also be passing to the members of the principal committee for feedback, and everyone in the working group for feedback. And again, it is an open working group, so anyone who may not have even joined past meetings can can feel free to become part of it and to participate. However, we'll be giving priority to feedback from folks who have been involved in these discussions over the past 6 months, weekly. So okay, so essentially this is we have a HackMD doc for a draft of the principles for RC1, and anyway, we'll have that PR open so you can get feedback on the PR. And then the progress bar that I just mentioned, or that I just showed, is essentially this: is that we reviewed the principles overall and agreed. Generally, we reviewed the wording and the format of each principle and reached basic agreement. This email is essentially sharing with the maintainers for the first quick round, and then we'll soon now present as an RC1 PR that binding and non-binding vote if we need to go there. And just as a reminder, the milestone date I had mentioned was this Friday for this, and ideally, well, our very strong, hopeful goal, and I don't see any reason why we can't reach this, is a full 1.0.0 release before KubeCon. So I know we have 1 month, but we're pretty close to there. So hopefully we can reach it. In any case, would it be helpful for me to maybe it will be helpful for me to just quickly read what I wrote. It'll take maybe 1 minute. I said, P.S. This this RC1 draft may feel a little like deja vu. It's closer to the initial principles as they have been all this time in the working group README. Why? Over the past 6 months of meetings, we started by merging several of the initial principles. This was in part my fault because it was an understandable direction at the time. I'm saying it's in part my fault because that initial PR where it was worked on for several weeks was authored by me and Brees initially, and everyone seemed to agree that seemed like a good direction. So that I'm partly responsible for that merging. In any case, it made sense then. But as we began to update them from there with more precise wording as a group, the first few went smoothly. However, because each principle builds upon the previous ones, as we got closer to the end, it became increasingly complex to figure out which pieces of which ideas should be in each principle, not quite being able to get all the way through them due to the detailed debates each week. I think that's fair to say. Anyway, important points were made by all. However, the diminishing returns in later meetings is what prompted the decision to accelerate revising the principles through an RC feedback process, where each RC attempts to integrate the very valuable points that were made by the group over the past months in a coherent way. In retrospect, excuse me, my hypothesis, I mean, there could be different ways to explain this, but my hypothesis is that merging several of the initial principles early on exacerbated the increasing complexity in us trying to bring that precise and consistent language to those steps, to all the later steps. That's a hypothesis. There could be other reasons, but basically the RC1 draft attempts to solve this by rolling back to the initial version that we have in the README and trying to make the fewest changes necessary to reconcile the points and feedback from the principals committee that seem to have stood the test of time over those weekly meetings over the past 6 months. So while this draft is very similar to the initial proposals, and it looks similar, if you look at it, you're like, wait, what? There are some important changes that try to reconcile them with the points we made as a group. And I hope, personally, I think we, like all the chairs, hope that you can see this in the draft by comparing the two. So anyway, that is it. And here is, in short, here they are. You can compare these to the version that's been in the README since last year. Excuse me, here we go. They're actually quite similar, but the closed loop was temporarily dropped because we couldn't quite, it's not clear how to, it wasn't clear to us anyway, how to explain this necessity for GitOps. It does seem important, but is it a requirement? And we really wanted to ask the entire group, why was this principle here initially? Essentially control theory language is very valuable, but do we really need it there? So there's some questions that we had about that, and then the proposed just revision of principle 5 from the README if there's an agreement that we should keep it. I believe Jesse's feedback so far was that we may not need it, but we'll see.
Maybe we can pause there and just get the general impression from the group on like this process. If you've had a chance to look at these principles or have any thoughts about it.
I'll paste the link to in the chat. So yeah, thanks.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, any gut responses just to I know we've all discussed this process in the past meetings, so it's not a big surprise, but just maybe not everyone was at every recent past meeting. And
I like at least the idea of it and just getting back to something that's easy to work on rather than what's there right now and the process that we have been going through. It's been kind of hard. So getting to something that's kind of a little bit more, not to say minimalistic, but something that actually means the same, but it's a little bit more, a little bit shorter and a little bit more easy to build upon. I think that's a good idea, and will probably make it a whole lot easier to go forward with, rather than what's there now and how that works. So I think we need a little bit of a reset on those things based on the meetings that I've been in.
Any other thoughts? I mean, feel free to. I just talked for a long time in a row just because it just had to be done, I guess. But I don't have much more or any more to say about it. But also no pressure to give an opinion. I know this has come up before, but yeah, feel free to either, if you think about it more before this meeting closes, or if you want to give feedback in all the communication channels that are listed in the working group GitMe, Slack, the app delivery tag, mailing list, etc., through GitHub discussions or whatever, please do, because all of your thoughts on this really matter. The goal of trying to do a reset wasn't to try to steamroll over anyone in any way. This has been very, 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 very open and transparent process. The goal was to just do a good job as chairs to try to help move things along when there are points of being stuck.
Yeah, and I think that, like, at this point, to come in and solicit feedback and say, we've taken all the feedback from all the different meetings we've had tons of discussion, we've had tons of notes, hours and hours of discussion, input from so many people. We've taken this and tried to bring all that feedback into this draft. I actually am quite happy with it. I think that it's simpler, it's straightforward. No worries, Chris, thank you. The last two items that we were requesting feedback on is where I think we had maybe just a little confusion and understanding, like, are these points strong enough to name on their own? Is it okay to just leave them implied? Is it okay to leave it sort of stated as part of these definitions that are up above? Is there enough there? So very interested to hear that. And then I think, Scott, in terms of the process, how long were we planning to wait for feedback from the maintainers before actually putting up the release candidate for a PR? Friday? Okay.
Unless we receive feedback that makes it feel like that would be a rush.
Okay. Sounds good.
And so far we have not.
What's the preferred method to provide feedback on this doc? Because I mean, I can leave a comment here, but like, is it better to not, like? Is that?
Why don't we make the PR right, like literally right?
Yeah, because if like this is like, if Dan's saying like, he's pretty happy with this, might as well just put a work in progress PR, I would think, and then people can then comment at least on that, because then we want Git as a source of truth for Dan talking about making jokes, right? So I don't mind making a comment here, but I think I'd rather do it in Git
where it's not a rumor.
Yes, where it's not a rumor, right? If it's here, it's just a rumor.
Yeah, good call.
Hearsay.
I'm fine with that. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that for us because we have it all together. I'll do that right. Well, I guess since if there's extra time in the meeting that we get back, I'll do it before our official meeting time is over. Otherwise, I'll do it directly after the meeting. And I'll ping you all on Slack to let you know. I'll do it in the WG GitOps channel, just the main channel. And I'll also forward that over to the principals channel in case we still feel like we need to keep that for some reason.
Okay, perfect. Well, I don't know if anybody has any other discussion on the principles. Everybody's been pretty quiet about it so far.
Yeah, well, I have thoughts, but that's why I mentioned, like, hey, look, can we put that in Git?
Sure. Well then, Scott, I would move to conclude if people would prefer just to take things asynchronously, unless there's anything else I don't see anything else on the agenda. Do you have anything else you want to discuss?
No, except just, is there any initial feedback on like how the meeting cadence is looking moving forward? Like, is everyone still happy with the move to making this bi-weekly or rather fortnightly? Sorry. Okay. Yeah, and also please check out the that meetings Google Doc. Christian and Dan, I know you reviewed that PR to simplify the meetings markdown file and then ultimately remove that and put a simple meetings piece of information in the README, which is great. Chris Short, if you can, I don't know if you are still here, but if so, I know you've been helping with updating the uploading the videos to YouTube from Zoom Cloud, and I think that can still go on exactly as it is, and we can just, you know, connect about how or if those need to be linked in any way, directly meeting by meeting, or if it's just fine to point to the playlist in general and let people find it on their own, because they are actually listed by date. So. Cool, thanks, Chris. Okay, got it. Saw your comment. All right, no, I have nothing else. Maybe we'll give another second for anyone else, or but if not. All right, great. Also, thanks, Nicholas, for joining. I did get your comment about the meeting date change, the date changing, and that was something I didn't note when I initially mentioned that. So thank you for that.
The new doc with all the meetings now saying fortnightly and with the information at the top is a massive success. So thank you for that.
Really appreciate that. Okay, good. Yeah, because that did help a lot. Okay, well then it sounds like we're going to conclude. Thank you all. And if we need a separate meeting for the events committee, or if we can do that, let's just announce that to the mailing list so folks can have the opportunity to join if they want. Otherwise, we'll just do it async, and we'll see you async and next time.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thank you.